Well, Tony, congratulations on the 10th Metro Premiership. You look back on that past 10 years, a lot of water's gone under the bridge.
Yeah, I sort of reflected a little bit on it, just thinking about it Saturday afternoon after the race is finished, and it honestly feels like yesterday to a degree when I first moved down here, the Winter Carnival of 2012. We were fresh off a Temple of Booms Group 1 win in the Galaxy that autumn, and full of excitement and plenty of challenges ahead, and now we're where we are now, and I still feel the same. There's so many more challenges, and still so much ahead.
You were able to win that first premiership with 56.5 winners. You're up to well over 140 this year. That was a pretty good milestone to reach that 140 this year.
Yeah, I remember when the 100 was a real goal for the stable, and trying to reach that 100 off only 90 boxes or 91 boxes at Eagle Farm is always hard. It means you're training more than one Metro winner a box, which is not easy to do anywhere, wherever you are. And so that was always a goal, to get out to 140. I never thought at the start of the season that we'd get to that number. I don't like to put a number on it. I do like to try and train the 100 once we reached the 100 some seasons ago. It's sort of something I've always wanted to do. I didn't get it. It didn't get there last year, and I was reminded of that on a few occasions. And so I really wanted to do a few things better this year, and that just comes from doing things well week to week.
It's a prize money game as well. You need to get as much returns as you can for your owners. Back that 10 years ago, you were able to do it with just winning $3.5 million in prize money. The stable won $11.5 million last season, so that's obviously a pretty strong benchmark as well.
Yeah, that was just in Queensland. We're over 12 million Australia-wide, which was great. So, no, it's been a really good year. That's racing in Australia now. The prize money levels have improved, and here in Brisbane, and I think we've still got a little bit of a way to go yet. But for the competitive nature of the racing up here, I think our prize money is still quite good, and that's reflective of what you've said there, Nathan. We've got to train more winners, but in turn put a lot more prize money back into our owners' pockets to hopefully keep on investing within the stable and keep turning up and enjoying it and winning more.
You're very conscious when you win races to mention the team and the team you have behind you. Tell us how that team's grown from when you first moved to Brisbane with just those 8 horses to how many people you have working for you now?
Yeah, well, it's just grown with the number of horses, really, hasn't it? When I first moved here, we still had some horses back in Toowoomba, so it was a different scenario. My father was very much involved, helping me, back in those days, and even though he's not physically with me now, he's still always there, that's for sure. But I've got a good mix of staff as we've been able to grow our numbers. I've got a great mix of youth and older statesmen in the stable, and been very fortunate these last 3 or 4 years in particular to be able to keep a lot of the core people in roles, and we can work down from that. It's no different to any other business, big business where you got a lot of feet on the ground, and a lot of people at work. You need to have that management structure in place, and we're really lucky that we got that. I got unbelievably good support right from the people that do the boxes of a morning right through to my assistant trainer in Craig Kavanagh, and our office staff are amazing. My sister and Claire Bird, young Mitch Treleaven as well in that role, and the racing manager. So we're really set up well. It's taken probably 24 years to get this set up how we want it, and like I said earlier in this, we're not sort of resting on our laurels. I think there's so much more we can still do to make our business or our stable run more efficiently and be a better product on race day.
You mentioned that. You're also one to be a harsh critique of your own self. You'll often say, well, there's trainer error there. Is there things you learned, say, in the past year that you might do differently? One that comes to mind, I guess, the Antino saga right through the carnival. With what happened with him not being able to qualify for those races, that may you look at doing things a little differently next year with a horse like that?
Oh, look, with him, with that one, there wasn't a lot we could do. I was pretty well aware of what I had to do to get in the Stradbroke, and I had a plan A and a plan B, and unfortunately neither of them could come off just due to the ratings. But that's due to the depth of our Winter Carnival this year. I think I said on record a few times, it's been the strongest depth of carnival I've been involved in since I've moved to Brisbane. That's when I've really started to become involved in our Winter Carnivals. By far the best depth of carnival. So there probably wasn't a lot I could do. Had he won the Gateway, I would have had a pretty easy option, wouldn't I? But I didn't. But no, but we do and change a lot of things. I learned a lot the year before. We had a really wet year. I learned a lot of what horses could cope with and couldn't cope with in different regards, and I felt obviously this was a drier racing season. You saw our winners saw a lot more. I'm probably not the world's best wet weather trainer, but I learned a lot of different avenues and different ways to approach things, through that period. But you're learning every year, Nathan. There's no doubt, and I think we've learnt well from the previous season to this one, and there's a lot of things that we can do better again for next season.
An important part of success of any stable is getting the right jockeys on board, and you being the Premier stable have the pick of the jockeys. But I imagine there's some satisfaction for you. A few years back, Bailey Notiff came to Brisbane, was able to win a Premiership, and this past season we've seen Ange Jones come to town and win the Apprentices title.
Yeah, that's with my great relationship with Lindsay Hatch, a great mate of mine. He marked Ange to me a couple of years ago actually, and we sort of waited and waited, and she came down, and I really had a plan with Lindsay when we'd get her here. We had to settle into Brisbane. It's a big lifestyle change, especially from a girl from central West Queensland where she's from. It's a big lifestyle change, and she's handled it well. She's been a pleasure to have. Not that Bailey wasn't. He was a great kid as well, but he come through that same mentorship from Lindsay up there in Toowoomba. And Ange has been a pretty easy transition, really. She's a lovely kid to work with. I was very proud of her outright acclaim there on Saturday. She's never a problem. She's no fuss, and she gets the job done. And I think it's important with all apprentices, as their claim dwindles, the improvement in their riding has to increase. And I think that she's done that throughout the season, and she's going to be a worthy addition to the seniors ranks now. Won't be easy for her there, but nothing worthwhile is easy. She'll continue to work hard, and she'll continue to get better.
You're now looking ahead to the Spring Carnival. Some nice horses taking down there, headed by Skirt the Lawyer, Magic Millions winner, and Tino. If we were to sit here in 12 months' time, what would you like to see happen in the next 12 months? So you can sit here in 12 months' time and say, "Yep, that was a good season."
I'd like to say we'd won a Group 1 or 2, won a couple of Group 1s. That's the only thing that missed this year from the CV. I took the bucket list off winning the Magic Millions. That felt like a Group 1 to me, although it's not. So hopefully when we're sitting here next year, we've won a Group 1, whether it be in the state or whether it be in Queensland. I think we've got a really lovely bunch of young emerging horses. We've seen a stable change in our stable in this last season. A lot of the older statesmen went off to be broodmares or retired, etc., etc. And this new bunch of exciting horses come through. Sometimes you go into summer and winter carnivals and you just don't know where that top line is going to come from, and horses just put their heads up. And I've got a couple there that have really put their heads up in this last year, and I think they're horses that are pretty young, pretty lightly raced, and there's a lot to be excited about over the next 12 months, and hopefully starting this spring.